Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's Friday. My name is Silas Knowles, the ZB Pirate for Pushing Boundaries, pushboundconsulting.com. This is the PB Podcast, and we bring you a Friday edition of people pushing boundaries, boundary pushers, status quo pushers in the realm of education. If you're an educator, if you're an administrator, superintendent, whatever your position might be, definitely this is the place to be. This is the place to talk, and this is the place to share your story. I really feel that this past year, I started this podcast in May, June, and I really think one of the great gifts I've gotten to do this year is this podcast, along with being an educator. I mean, in the classroom, we lift and amplify student voices and amplify students to do better and succeed more. And I think with this podcast, you know, I'm here amplifying other teachers and bringing their names to the forefront and really bringing them up and amplifying them up. So hope everyone's well. It's Christmas. That's good. Number two, teachers, you're awesome. You need to take that break. That break is well deserved. Please get that rest. I know some of you, I'm included in that, is that you're going to want to do some work, lesson planning. Take some time for yourself, please. Take some time, relax, get refocused, get recharged. We still have a whole nother semester of this coming our way. So, and definitely with the vaccines out and everything else going, you know, flexibility is going to be in our nature. Flexibility is what we do. We pivot on a dime. So in case schedules change or things are different, you know, definitely you want to make sure that you're recharged for this second semester. So a little piece of business before we start out. We are an educational consulting firm. Pushboundconsulting.com is where we're located on the website. If you are looking for professional development in any particular way for your school, if you're an administrator, a teacher, superintendent, looking for that one-stop shop of specialized professional development, we have a team of 17 people now that literally span the globe. We have people in Asia. We have people all over the country. Definitely consider us for your professional development. Please reach out, pushboundconsulting.com. You can message me on Twitter at ZBPirate and let us know that you're interested, and I will get you connected to the people in charge and get, you know, your school set up. Definitely, we want to make sure you guys are good to go. So today on the podcast, we have our friend, boundary pusher, status quo pusher. Her name is Carrie LaBarge from Hernando County, Florida. She's an educator, mother, wife, daughter, sister, Title I Early Learning Program facilitator, and doing my homework with her and everything else. She is someone who enjoys the journey. She enjoys the journey, everything she does. Hi, Carrie. How are you?
Hey, I'm well. It's Friday.
It is. Yeah, we were discussing it is Friday. So how are you this week and this last wrapping up for, you know, Christmas break? You're in the elementary school. So how is that with everything that's going on, like wrapping?
I think the best thing about this week was there was just so much joy. It like really felt normal, with gingerbread houses and door decorating contests and administrators trying to really celebrate their teachers in a different way. Like typically we would have like big faculty meetings and big parties, but they were able to do something like every day for them, which was like a really cool change. And I think that it felt kind of normal. Like, I mean, yeah, the kids had masks on, but they were running around in pajamas because we do in school, and we have some children that are virtual learning. We have some hybrid, so we're doing the three of those. But in the classrooms, it just felt like a typical week before Christmas.
What is that like? That's a that's a weird thing because we have an intern. You know, and I always forget the name of it. We're all virtual, but we have in-person office hours. I do high school. We do in-person office hours after like 1 o'clock for 1 o'clock to 2:38. They can come see us, or they can come into the school socially distanced with masks and stuff like that, and benefit from our internet, benefit from being able to see their teachers and stuff. So, I mean, I know everywhere I've talked to people from Minnesota that does something different. It's all over the place. But with the elementary school, I mean, do the kids really even know the severity of what's going on when it comes to like me and you versus them?
I think think our teachers have done an amazing job to protect the children, like making sure that they know it's important to be safe and to social distance and to wear your masks and to wash your hands and to keep your friends safe. But I really feel like we've all done a really good job about um, keeping the children as safe as possible because they hear so much. They're just inundated. They're just exhausted with everything. And I don't know that they know the severity of it unless it's hit close to home to them, or if they've been sick, or if they've had a family member sick. But I think that we've really done an amazing job protecting their innocence, if you will, making it important but not overwhelming them.
Right. And how old, when we talk elementary, how old are we talking?
So I'm in a pre-K through 5 setting.
God bless
um,
you. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's my favorite thing. Amongst 6 elementary schools. So I'm in and out of 6 elementary schools. And I think it looks the same. Our county is doing an amazing job um, nurturing our teachers and keeping our teachers uplifted, because I'm a big person and our county has done this as well. Those who nurture need to be nurtured. So nurturing those adults so that the adults can nurture the children. And I think our county's done an amazing job in that respect.
Now, I was doing my homework for all my shows, just like I normally do. You're a Title I early program learning facilitator, I think it is.
So,
I think
so it sounds like really long and fancy, but it's really not.
did I get it
So
right? Did I get it
I'm a
right?
teacher
No, but
on special assignment.
okay.
And so what happens is we have some Title I facilitators that are in our schools that serve Title I schools.
Okay.
And they monitor budget programs, people who are paid out of Title I, student data, student gaps, things like that. And then, so I do that for one school. And then we have Title I paid programs for pre-K.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I monitor that amongst 6 elementary schools. So my job really is to support the teachers that are teaching pre-K and be able to track the data of those pre-K babies. So roughly 113 children amongst 6 elementary schools. Just PD with the teachers, observing them, making sure standards are being taught, and getting kids ready for kindergarten. And then my other hat as a facilitator is those programs that are paid out of Title I and just monitoring that as well. And we also have a couple of online programs that I work with a couple colleagues to look at data and assessments and how children are learning, and work with families as well, especially in this time. Anybody who's vertical and breathing that can that can kind of help families, because they're struggling too, whether they're working, not working, at home, trying to homeschool. I mean, there's a variety of things. I think a lot of our adults are tired. So anything that we can do to help them, I think we're doing, and I think we're doing a phenomenal job.
So when we talk about you and the multiple hats you have in education, how long have you been doing this?
So I was one of those great people who did mommy university first. I had my babies. I had 3 of my babies.
Okay.
I did college. The best thing that came out of college the first time out of high school was my husband. And then we got married, had babies, and then I went back to school when I was 28 and had my daughter while going to college. So I started as a freshman, graduated at 32, did my 4 years like I would, raising babies and having babies and all that good stuff. And I just knew that I was one of those, I knew that classroom teachers were so important, but I just knew that I didn't want to be in the classroom forever. So I went on to get my master's in educational leadership, thought I wanted to be an assistant principal, went down that route. It didn't work out that way. And here I am doing something I would never have thought I was meant to do. I've taught GED classes. So I did pre-K during the day and GED at night. And I've just really found my niche in early learning. I think that we often see that gap that we always talk about, the gaps in children that follow them from pre-K all the way through high school. And so like my real platform right now is really getting the children in early, getting them in our schools. We have VPK programs in a variety of places. In Florida, you're allowed to go to VPK, 3 hours free, but our program is paid out of Title I funds, and it's an all-day program. And I think just really getting them in, we're expecting so much of our babies in kindergarten, and those that they don't have those foundational skills. Sometimes we're continuing to chase those gaps till they graduate.
What now? When we talked earlier, and kind of the format that we're going forward with too, is that I always like bringing on people who want to push the boundaries, want to push the status quo, want to go above and beyond in education to be able to help our students and really do the things. Now, you want to focus on that gap in remediation. Now, for the people who might not know, because I have educators as well as families and everything else, what are we talking about when we're talking about the gaps in remediation that we hit them way too late for our students?
So I can speak to Florida. In 3rd grade, students take a state assessment. And if they don't do well on that assessment, they're retained in 3rd grade. And sometimes when we go back, we see that child's been struggling from day one. And maybe they didn't go to an early learning program, they struggled in kindergarten, so on. And so they repeat 3rd grade and they get remediation and they do all of that. And then if they pass, that's fine, but there's something that tells me that in 3rd grade, if they didn't pass in 3rd grade, then maybe they pass the following year or what have you, there's still a gap there, right? And so oftentimes we see that gap for a long, long time. And I feel like is my own personal Carrie LaBarge thing. If you're gonna retain a kiddo, do that in kindergarten, because that's like big on their psyche. There's so much research that says when we retain kids, they don't graduate high school, they don't continue to do well. And I think that if we can grab them early and give them those good, solid foundations, it makes a huge, huge difference to them.
Do you think with the ones, have you seen it more in Florida, or have you seen in your research it being spread out more in certain parts of the country, or do you see it like more of a widespread thing?
I think most of the research shows that if children are retained in any grade, it does something to them, right? And that I can only speak to Florida because this is what I've done.
Of
This
course,
is where I am.
of course.
It's interesting because when I taught GED classes, if you really got to know your students, they were the retained ones. They were the ones that struggled in school, and there they were sitting trying to get their high school equivalency. And so I think that was eye-opening. And I just feel like the amount of knowledge we expect our students to have and to perform can often be helped earlier. Parents, I think, sometimes are in survival themselves. So knowing that they have to read books to their children and talk and just have conversations and have positive conversations, if we can kind of give that to them, to the children prior to kindergarten, I think that makes all the difference in the world.
Well, and on top of that, I completely agree with you. I mean, definitely, I have 4 girls, and definitely I read to them, talk to them. We had positive conversations at a very young age, and they're excelling. I mean, today I literally had my 11-year-old come to me crying because she said she loves having straight A's, but she got a B+ on something, and she thought I was going to be mad at her. And so she started to cry about it. I'm just like, dear, it's fine. I wish like my whole entire student body at my high school felt the same way. And 30 seconds later, it was just, he did a great change and everything else. But what do you think parents can, even during this time, the time of COVID and everything else? I mean, is there anything that you can think of or you can offer that parents can do differently to try and instill that motivation, instill that positivity, even when we're not in such, even as young as the pre-Ks, even in not such a positive world right now?
I think I like to think of parents, and I like to give them a lot of grace and mercy. I always use this little story that when I was teaching and I would come home to my children, all the way home, I'm like, Lord, please let me not have expended all my patience on everybody else's children, and let me have some patience for my own, right? And and seriously, and I think most of us who have children education talk or do that self-talk, right? And I think we need to meet our parents where they are. Some of those parents are just in survival, and I had my needs met. I had food on my table. I had a job. My electricity wasn't going to be shut off, things like that. We have parents that are in crisis, and we're like, oh, and by the way, make sure you do your homework and read and do all these things. And I think we expect that they know what to do. So I think we have to empower them. We have to give them, I don't know, tidbits or tips each week, like try this or try that. They might not have that toolbox that many of us have. We have to almost give them those tools. And I think I'm a big Maslow, like that foundation. If you come to school and you've had a lousy night's sleep and you've not had breakfast and you argued with your mom and you are not ready to learn anything. One of the things I used to do when I was in 4th grade was I had a die cut of a house, and it was my attendance policy, but they didn't know. And so they would pull it off the door and they put it in the basket, and I could see quickly who was there. But
Sure.
they knew that whatever happened before they came in my classroom doors, they left it there, and they were safe and they were secure in our classroom. I think we have to give that to the children, because I think sometimes parents, through no fault of their own, can't provide that at home.
Definitely, definitely. It's one of the things where even outside of this time, I think it's just they don't have the things that we know, and they haven't gone through the training that we've done, and being able to support and be able to properly motivate. And I'm sure you've had it as well. I've had many conversations like, why is my child failing, and why is my child doing this? And I'm just like, well, have you tried this? Have you tried this?
I had asked your child, like, have
you
you had a conversation with them?
Well, and that's the one thing. It's just it's so eye opening to see the parents' eyes open on the phone with you, where it's just like, have you talked to your child? And they go, no, I just checked their grade. And I go, maybe you should talk to your child, because on my end, this is what I see, and then on your end, that's what you see. And there's truly a disconnect, and there has to be that in between where the parent has to help us. If we don't have the parent, I don't think we can properly do our job. I mean, what do you think? Yeah, it's just if we don't have the parent buy-in. Go ahead. You were
Yeah,
about
I
to.
think that there's anomalies to that, because you hear they hear the success stories that the children have parents and they lived in their car and they do amazing things. But I think those are the anomalies. I think the general consensus would be that parents need to be involved in some fashion. Either that, or there has to be someone in school that just like tucks that child under their wing and just says, you know what, you're important to me. And we're doing a lot of that now with COVID, and we're doing a lot of the mental health stuff, which is amazing, which we probably should have been doing this whole time.
Yeah.
And I think we were, but I think it just looks different. I think COVID right now is like this horrible, horrible thing, but I am like, the glass is half full all the time. Like all the time. I am the rainbows, lollipops, and unicorn. The whole world could be burning. I'm like, hey, let's make s'mores. That's me. And I feel like we have to like look at the positives that have come out of COVID. We're lifting each other up as colleagues. We're being very innovative. We're doing things that I never thought. I didn't even know what Zoom was until March. I had no idea really what it was, or that I could use it. Like I was sitting on Zoom calls, but I'm like, oh, I can use it and have my own. Like it was pretty cool, right? And I think that we've just been empowered with so many things that we have to be super positive. And I think our parents are starting to really see how much we do, and that we're not this enemy, and that we've worked together. I think that those conversations are really starting to open up, and those relationships between parents and schools are getting better than they've ever been. We were blessed in Hernando County to have a referendum passed that we thought would never ever pass. Like, we needed it for our schools. We needed that money. And it passed. And we were like, no way. And I said, I think it was COVID, because parents had to be the teachers. Teachers were coming to houses and dropping off things, and I think parents really got to see how incredible teachers really are and how much they really do care. So I think it was very productive, and I think there's a lot of positives that have come out of this rather unfortunate situation.
Yeah, I think my guest last week put it very, very eloquently, that this is a lifestyle for us. This isn't a job. It's completely a
Yeah,
lifestyle. And the only person that can tell you that is another educator.
absolutely.
I can't tell you so many times that I have friends and they're just like, why do you stress so much? And why do you go so much
Those are
above
our
and
kids,
beyond?
they're our kids.
Yeah, there are. I just don't have 4 kids. I have 100
You
or
betcha.
125 or whatever every single year, and it grows and it grows, and you see them develop and everything else. And you got to be a certain type of person to do this.
Absolutely. Our superintendent said at a meeting the other day, he said there are two groups of people that can get things done in the middle of a pandemic. And he's like, the military and those of us in education. And I thought, really?
Yeah.
I mean, truly, we just did things that no one would ever have dreamed that we did. And we continue to do it. And we have this incredible stamina that keeps going. It's just,
And then
it's awesome.
in 2021, and I mean, Lord knows, man, bless the good man upstairs, that hopefully 2021 is going to be a little bit.
Hopefully this wasn't the pregame, right?
Yeah, this wasn't the pregame. We're hitting it. We're going in and getting, first, second quarter. My God. But to close those gaps of remediation and stuff like that, to give, now we talked about getting the parents involved and getting to the kid early. Is there anything else that we need to be doing to really close those gaps so the kids can be lifelong learners, and to make sure that they don't get like hit bumps in the road in their educational journey?
I think that as parents and even as colleagues and adults, we just have to be mindful that little pictures have big ears. Like, they really, really do. Um, we always, like, our big movement right now is kindness, be kind. And I'm like, okay, everyone has these t-shirts, but are we just like wearing the t-shirt, or are we really practicing it? And I think it's really important that as adults, we are the ones that are showing the children, because you can't, do as I say. Oh, I can't remember the thing, but do what I say, but don't follow what I do. Whatever. I'm sure
Do
there's
as
some
I say,
eloquent thing. Yeah, that one.
do something like that.
And I think that we have to change that culture of just being kind to one another. Like, parents have to not automatically think it's the teacher. Teachers have to automatically think it's not the parent. Like, we have to like just break that cycle of putting blame, and as a community and as a whole, that these are all of our children. Like, those are the kids that are going to take care of me. I want them to like be really smart and be able to take care of me. And I feel that when we start culturally shifting that and stop pointing fingers, because kindergarten blames pre-K, 12th grade blames 11th grade, and it just goes down and down. And then, what are we blaming? We're blaming everyone. I think we just have to stop all of that blame, and lift each other up and be able to empower one another. My weakness is your strength, and your strength is my weakness. And if I can't get your child to work in school, then I need you to, and vice versa. I had 4 of my children, and there are a couple of teachers that I am forever grateful for, because all my children heard were a nagging mom and dad, but they had that teacher at home, or at school rather, that just loved him and knew that there was somebody else than mom and dad, because that's what mom and dad are supposed to do. They're supposed to do that. But there was someone at school that really took care of them.
Definitely. I do. I do appreciate you saying that, because I think a lot of people forget that. I think a lot of people forget that, we care about your kids too. And like, we know that you're their parents and you're their first line and you're there, but we're there as well. So, I mean, I know there's stats out there that say that like we see somebody's kids more than they see them themselves or something like that. Because 8 hours a day, 180 days a year times whatever. And it's ridiculous to think that I saw my PE teachers more than I saw my own parents. You look back and you're like, wow, it's like, that's really interesting. I didn't really see that. So what are you?
I used to tell my parents when I was teaching 4th grade, I was like, listen, they're with me 6 hours out of the day, and the other 18 can you not undo what I did in 6 hours? Like, could we work together here? And it was a little bold, but they were like, oh, like, like let's get it together.
So what are your plans for your break? What is your plans for winter break?
Well, I did tell myself I am going to just sit in my pajamas at least for 2 days and do absolutely nothing and watch mindless television. Like, I really, really want to be able to do that. 3 of our children don't live in our house because they're off in their own happiness, I think. And our daughter is a senior, so she's going to go off and do whatever she's doing. I think we're going to have 3 out of the 4 kids home. I don't know. It's like, hey, mom's making dinner. Here's dinner. Whoever's coming, whenever. I am going to do some reading, but I don't think I'm going to do reading for my job. I think I might do some like leisurely reading that has nothing to do with anything.
I was going to ask you though, like usually I ask, what do you think you're going to be reading? What is Carrie LaBarge going to pick up and dive through over these next few weeks?
Well, I know I can look at my bedside table and there's like stacks of books, and I think I'm in the middle of like 8 books all at the same time, and I'm like, and none of them have to do with leisure. It has to do with either bettering myself or bettering my students or my teachers or what have you. Oh gosh, that's probably the worst and most difficult question of the whole evening. Thanks. I don't know. I have to ponder that. Maybe someone will get me a great book. I don't know.
If you're interested, I just started into Ready Player 2, the sequel to Ready Player 1. Then it was a big movie and stuff. And that seems pretty interesting. New John Grishams are interesting. I have those on audio. Usually I have an audio book going and I'll plow through a regular book. And, since, between the car ride to school and car ride home, I'll have that going. Because for me, I don't want to listen to COVID stuff anymore. It's just so depressing. I just don't want to listen to it. It's so depressing.
Tracking and this one's out and that. I'm like, oh my God. Like, exactly. I'm kind of excited to not listen to that. And I don't, in the school setting, because it's exhausting.
It's just, I don't want to know about sanitizers. I don't want to know about, I've hand sanitized so much.
Sanitizer, I really don't.
For this year, I don't want to see a Bed Bath & Body Works ever again. I really don't. It's to me, it's just god awful. I just don't know. But I'm glad you said.
I'm looking forward to not having my mask on the whole time, like being around my house and not being like, I got to go back. I don't have a mask, or obviously if I went to the store or whatever. But I think just kind of like not having that on during the day, like I do. Isn't that ridiculous? That's what.
No, not at all. So I'm glad you brought that up because there is a video I want to share to the world. This is from our friends from Trevor Muir, who has written the Epic Classroom, the collaborative classroom, and definitely what Carrie was talking about, what I said in the beginning of the podcast, definitely teachers, just take a look at this video, trevormuir.com. He's going to have a free webinar in January with Todd Nelsony, 2 awesome educational people, educational pushers, boundary pushers. So take a look at this, and I think you'll know what I mean.
Hey, are you a teacher? I want you to do something real quick this evening. I want you to swipe up on your phone and hit the Do Not Disturb button. But I can't do that. My students' parents expect me to answer their texts right away. They'll just have to wait until tomorrow. But what if I get a notification from the Blooms or Reminder, Class Dojo, or whatever app? That'll just have to wait until tomorrow. But what if my principal has a question for me this evening about a student's grade or about my evaluation coming up? Don't I have to respond? They will just have to wait until tomorrow. But what if a student has a question about an assignment I've given them and they say they need the answer tonight? They will just have to wait until tomorrow. Because here's the deal. It can wait until tomorrow. I know parents and administrators and students can sometimes expect you to be on at all times, but that doesn't mean you have to be. You need time every single day to be off. unplugged, unreachable, where you can then recharge and then effectively answer all of the communications and be back on. We are not human doings. We are human beings. And you need time to just be, to not do things and communicate at all times of the day. So use Do Not Disturb every day. Snooze those evening emails. Let the phone ring and take off your teacher hat for a bit. What you're going to find is that this rest, this saying no to communicating with work during your off time will in fact make you a better teacher.
Love that. Love that.
I love
that's
it.
That's a great thing, just because this is your first podcast appearance ever, and it's the last PB podcast of 2020. So it's very, very, very happy. You are the last podcast of 2020, because usually we drop on Fridays, and next Friday is Christmas. So I don't think anyone's going to want to listen to me talk on Christmas. I mean, as I wish they would, but hey,
if we get real bored, we can let you know or something.
hey,
our families would not appreciate it because it would be work related, and yeah.
Right. And then then we pivot and we go into 2021. So, but Carrie, I do appreciate you. I always try to keep mindful of everyone's time. Is there anything you want to let anyone know that you're working on? I know that you've written a chapter of sorts somewhere and little book.
Are you in that too? Did you do a chapter?
I'm in
chapter.
You
had an important part, something really important.
I did that chapter too.
Listen, the chapters are important, or there wouldn't be a book. So yeah, it's important.
Not being friends.
I did.
With your It's stop being friends with your students. It was mine.
Oh, mine. Stop escalating student behavior. I had so much fun with that. Chapter 9.
So what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is a chapter 100. Or it's the 100 project that's coming out from Pushbound. I can never say it. I always spit on myself. Pushboundconsulting.com. This is something that we'll start talking about a little bit more and more here and there as spring comes. But it's probably, if not the biggest collaboration of educators in one educational book that's coming from us. You'll see more and more as the weeks go on, and I'm sure Dr. Jetter and Miss Coda will start allowing me to kind of release a little more and more as we go. But yeah, definitely Carrie's going to be, she has an author site, I have an author site, and we're going to have a whole triad of books. There's going to be 3 sets of the 100 books. So definitely something to look forward for us.
It's super exciting.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a game changer. Definitely. I don't think this has ever been done ever in education, and it's gonna be one of those things where you're gonna look back and go, "Wow, how the heck did that happen?" I don't even know how Rick has enough time in the day, because he has to proofread.
He doesn't sleep.
I don't think he sleeps. It's proofread. Rick, if you're listening, do you sleep, brother? I don't think you sleep. I mean, he's a principal. He does consulting work. He does PD, and then he's a
dad. He's a husband.
He's got 100 chapters. I mean, think about it. I've 100 chapters to go over and prove between him and Rebecca. And I'm just like, look, you can ask me for help. I don't know if I'm going to say yes, but you can ask me. I can do what I can. Carrie, I do appreciate you. Have a great Christmas.
This was super fun. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
With you and your family. Everyone from Pushbound Consulting, from the PB podcast, we wish everyone out there a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. We will talk to you in 2021. I don't know yet who's next. We'll see. I got a big hefty list, so I get to go through and see who's going to be next. So if you're interested, at ZB Pirate on Twitter, Pushbound Consulting, the Facebook page. If you want to come on, amplify your voice, get your voice heard out there in the world of education, come talk to us, man. We'd love to have you on. So definitely from the PB podcast and pushboundconsulting.com. What are you doing to push the boundaries of your classroom, either virtually or in the building, in a physical classroom? And just please remember, we're always here for our kids. Carrie, have a Merry Christmas. Happy holiday.
Thanks so much.